has won 12, count them, 12 Emmys for his work as a sportscaster and a talk show host. He's also just completed his first book, which is already a bestseller, entitled Fair Ball, A Fan's Case for Baseball. Please welcome Mr. Bob Costas. Conan, how are you, Bob?
Good.
We, this is, you're quite knowledgeable about the game of baseball, and you give a lot of your opinions here, and there's a buzz. Some people are saying, why can't this guy, Bob Costas, be the commissioner of baseball? Why can't this guy run things? You represent the fans' interests here, don't you?
I'm not holding my breath waiting for that to happen. I'm not sure it should happen, but they are more likely, speaking of the powers that be in baseball, to put out a contract on me than to offer me a contract.
Right. They're not, your views are not popular. You want some,
No, I think they're popular among fans.
No, for fans, I'm saying they're not popular with the money-making side of baseball.
I think there are at least some factions among the owners, and perhaps, although I haven't heard from them directly, some members of the Players Association who would not be pleased with some of the suggestions in the book. And I take that, when you put them together, as a recommendation. If both sides are mad at me, I must be doing something right.
Right, right. Well, there's some also people that think that, you made a great team with Mr. Uecker, Bob Uecker, back in the old days.
Mr. Baseball.
Mr. Baseball, really funny guy, great story, self-deprecating guy.
Right.
Would he have a chance at being a commissioner of baseball? I think that'd be very funny if he would do it.
That'd be outstanding if he was the commissioner.
Yeah.
He's still doing the Milwaukee Brewers games, and he's back on TV doing those Miller Lite commercials with Norm Macdonald. Maybe you've seen him. I hadn't really thought of him as commissioner. I think really all you need to know about Uecker was summed up, and he tells this story on himself. I mean, you know his basic story. Lifetime batting average of 200, 14 lifetime home runs in 7 years.
He's got great statistics,
in the big leagues. In fact, I asked him once how they let him know that he was released, finally, from the Atlanta Braves. And he said he walked into the clubhouse, the manager looked at him and pointed to a sign overhead that said, "No visitors allowed." But all you really needed to know about Uecker was established when he was a high school player, he was a prospect, and a scout from the then Milwaukee Braves came to his home. They sat around the kitchen table, and he said, "We'd like to sign your son for $5,000. And Uecker's father said, "This family doesn't have that kind of money." So that more or less summed it up. I'm doing the World Series. I'm doing the World Series with Uecker a few years ago, and I say to him, Ueck, did you ever play in the World Series? This is on the air. He says, well, I was on the Cardinals in 1964 when they played the Yankees, but I was on the disabled list in October. I said, what was wrong with you? He said, I had hepatitis. I said, how did you get that? He said, the trainer injected me with it.
So a blow dart.
As commissioner, I think he'd be more humorous than Bud Selig. I don't know if he'd do a better job.
But it'd be good for the game. You should talk to him about it.
Yeah.
Now, recently, they've made a big fuss, and ABC's making a big fuss, that they're doing a Celebrity Who Wants to Be a Millionaire episodes. And I heard that you were asked.
I was.
Is that right? But you didn't do it.
I was asked. I couldn't be on that day. I was traveling, covering something for NBC.
Would you have liked to?
And I think Regis does a tremendous job. Only a smattering of applause here.
Do not applaud Regis Philbin!
Wait a minute.
There'll be no...
It is Regis.
Yeah.
He's snuck in the back.
Yeah. Regis is running through the audience. Come on, everybody. Give me a hand. Let's go. Come on.
He doesn't have enough to do. I'm watching it the other night. You have to be fascinated by the whole format of this whole retro format. And there's a woman on, and she's up to like $32,000. And you know what the thing is? If you don't know the answer, you can poll the audience and go with their consensus. You can reduce the 4 choices to two in a 50-50. Or you can get on the phone and call anybody you like.
Right.
And usually, they call like their Uncle Festus in Oshkosh. If I was going on the show, I'd have like the head of the history department at Princeton or, the biology department at Harvard on standby. But they've got their Uncle Festus. So this woman's question is, for $32,000, her question is, in 1954, Swanson introduced the first TV dinner. What was the first TV dinner? A, meatloaf. B, turkey. C, shepherd's pie. D, Salisbury steak. So she doesn't know because who knows? And she does a logical thing. She asked for the 50-50. Now it's reduced to meatloaf and turkey. Then she stuns me by using up yet another lifeline to call her,
Festus.
her Uncle Festus.
Right.
Now, let's think about this. This isn't a case of, well, maybe Uncle Festus knows what the capital of Michigan is.
Right.
Or who FDR's vice president was before Truman.
Right.
Nobody, unless they happened to eat that TV dinner in 1954 and then died from it, knows the answer to this.
Right.
That's why you go to a 50-50.
Right.
Just so you have a toss-up.
Then you just take a stab at
exactly.
it. Right.
Once you get to this point, Stephen Hawking and John Rocker have an equal chance to get this correct. But she wants to use up another lifeline to call, her pal.
Right. So you get in there. You would not use that lifeline in that situation.
The lack of knowledge did not disturb me, but the poor strategy really ticked me off.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
Probably a good thing you didn't go on that show.
You'd be yelling at people.
It's bad strategy.
You'd just be yelling at everybody, left and right.
What colored jello?
Yeah.
Regis!
Look, it's like a squeeze play with 2 outs. It's bad strategy. You can't approve of it. Even if it works, it's stupid.
You gotta go with the fun, Bob.
It's a bad percentage play.
Now, you've been doing in the business many years. I said up top of the show, you are the gold standard in the broadcasting business. But even Bob Costas, I'm imagining, has made a mistake or two in his day. Have you ever had a really bad on-air mistake?
Well, the thing about sports broadcasting is that most of it is, ad-libbed. It's off the top of your head. For better or worse, it's out there. You can't edit it. So I'm doing a game, and this has happened to all of us, I guess, at one time or another, something like this. I'm doing a game in the 80s with Tony Kubek on the old Saturday afternoon NBC baseball game of the week. The Oakland A's are playing the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto. And at that time, Tommy John, the great left-hander, was just hanging on. He was 45, 46 years old, and he was bouncing from team to team. The Yankees had traded him. The Angels had released him, and he'd hooked on with Oakland. And he was in uniform working out with them, but they hadn't officially put him on their roster, and they were going to send him out for a minor league rehab assignment before they brought him back to the big leagues. But he's sitting there in the dugout in uniform. We come out of a commercial. The camera focuses on him. I try to think of a caption to put underneath the picture of Tommy John. I turn to Tony Kubek. I say, Tony, there's Tommy John, the great veteran left-hander, 20-game winner in both leagues, pitched in the World Series for both the Dodgers and the Yankees. Maybe someday he'll make it to the Hall of Fame. But he thinks he can eke a few more wins out of that tired left arm of his, and the A's do too, but he's not quite ready yet, so he'll be pissing in Appleton on Monday. And I knew what I had wanted to say.
Yeah.
But I was pretty sure what I had said.
Right. Did you think maybe I've said pitching, or no? You knew.
I was pretty sure, and when I looked at Kubek, and he looked back at me with this expression of stark terror on his face, and offered nothing, so I knew he was going to be no help. And about 10, 15 seconds go by of dead air on national television. I realized I'm going to have to, provide my own rejoinder for better or worse. So I say, well, come to think of it, Tony, he'll probably do both if he stays in Appleton long enough. I'm not sure that helped the situation at all, but it's all I could come up with.
Now, before we go, we're tight on time tonight, but before we go, NBA playoffs going on right now. Who do you think goes all the way? I mean, most people are saying it's the Lakers.
It has to be. It has to be the Lakers unless, and you'd hate to have it decided this way, unless Kobe Bryant or Shaquille O'Neal gets hurt. I think the Lakers go all the way.
Now, what about the Knicks?
The Knicks have a chance to get out of the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference is wide open. Latrell Sprewell and Patrick Ewing in the audience.
Bree just brought them.
Come on, fellas. This will be fun. We'll check out the show.
They could win the East. I don't see how they could match up against the Lakers in the finals.
Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to make sure that you were... I wanted to make
a popular point of view here in New York.
I wanted to make sure that you got a smattering of booze before you went. I always like that for all my guests. Fair Ball, congratulations, by the way, on its success.
Fair
Ball is in stores right now. Bob Costas, always a pleasure having you. Bob Costas, everybody. Kristen Johnson coming up in a little bit. We'll take a break. We'll be right back.